Hi, everyone, and welcome to the next episode in my Christmas series this year. I have a link to the playlist in my description box below if you missed any of the previous episodes. Today, we are transforming some Dollar Tree canvases into high-end Christmas decor. I hope you find tons of inspiration and enjoy today's projects. So for our first project, we are going to be using an 11 by 14 canvas without the frame. This is just the flat canvas from Dollar Tree. We're also going to be using one of Dollar Tree's 11 by 14 photo frames. Now this has the brown frame itself. We're going to remove the backing as well as the glass. We don't need the glass for this because we're going to be inserting that flat canvas in place of the glass. Now once you have the canvas inserted and the backing put back onto the frame, we're going to be using some of Dollar Tree's mini pine picks. You can get these in a package of 6. You will need 2 packages because we're going to need 8 of them. I'm cutting the stem off right below the bottom 2 branches, and I'll do that for all 8 pieces. We're going to line them up on our canvas opposite of each other, so we're making like a cross. And then we'll kind of push them a little bit closer together. I'm just kind of lining it up before I use some hot glue to glue this down. Now, if you're going to be storing this in your attic over the summertime, I do recommend you use like some E6000 or something like a more permanent glue than just hot glue. And once we have all 4 of these glued down, we're going to take the other 4 pieces, we're going to take each one of those and place them in between 2 of these. So the bottom 2 branches on the 2 that are already glued down, you may have to separate those a little bit to be able to get that branch to lie flat. Then we'll glue each one of these down, and it is already so beautiful. Once you get these glued down, we're making a gorgeous greenery snowflake frame. You can leave it just like it is. I'm going to take my hairdryer to go over it to remove any of the hot glue strands, and then I'm going to add a pine cone right in the middle to just finish it off. And I think this turned out absolutely stunning. For our second project, we are using Dollar Tree's 8 by 10 canvas with the frame. I am also using these gift bags from Dollar General. You get a pack of 2 for $3. The top one is an 8 by 10. The one underneath is an 8 by 11.5. Now, if you can't find those at Dollar General, Dollar Tree does sell some fabric gift bags, so you could recreate this on a smaller version. Or if you are lucky enough and you can find some of those pillow covers, which I can't find at my Dollar Tree, you could also use those. I will be using this gorgeous truck image from the top piece of that pack from Dollar General. I'm going to turn it inside out and then carefully remove all of the stitching all the way around. Because the bag itself is an 8 by 10, in order to get it to fit on my canvas and be able to use the entire picture, I'm going to carefully remove that stitching so that I don't damage any of the picture that I want to use. Then I'll remove the rope that's holding it together, and now I have one long fabric piece, and I'm going to line that up on my canvas and then trim the top and bottom pieces, and it is the perfect width to be able to go around the sides of our canvas. Now, I did very carefully iron mine to remove the wrinkles at the bottom. I only ironed the outside edges, not the picture itself. Now we can attach it to our canvas. I'm going to attach it using some Mod Podge and a wet paintbrush, and I'm just going to apply an even layer over the entire top of the canvas. Then I can line that up and spread it out, make sure everything adheres. And then I have like a rolling tool. You can find these at Walmart. And then I like to go over that to make sure all of the Mod Podge adheres to that burlap. Now we have enough spacing on the outside edges to be able to wrap this canvas. I'm going to cut each of the corners, just cut a tiny slit so that I'll be able to fold those down. Then I can add another layer of Mod Podge to the sides and then down the edge of the other side a little bit so that I'll be able to press this down and then fold those corners down. And I'm going to do that for all 4 sides. So once your Mod Podge dries, you're going to have a beautifully wrapped canvas with burlap on all of the sides. So now that mine has dried, you can leave it just like this. I'm going to trim mine out with some black grosgrain ribbon from Dollar Tree, and I kind of want to create almost like a frame just around the front. So I'm going to attach this using some hot glue and lining that up directly to the bottom of the canvas. Then I can take each of the ends and wrap it around, but I'm kind of leaving the corner of the canvas out so you'll be able to see that burlap. Then I'll wrap those 2 edges, and it should be looking something like this. Then I'll go ahead and wrap the top. So again, you could leave it just burlap. You could add a border to the top and the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and add some to the side as well and overlap the top and bottom ribbon pieces. Again, I'm leaving the corners of the burlap sticking out. So once I'm finished, it's going to have a beautiful black border in the front, and each of the sides will have the burlap. And I'm only going across the edge with that hot glue. So each of the sides now have this beautifully trimmed out burlap, and I think this piece turned out absolutely gorgeous. You could make several different kinds and style them all together. Our next project, we're using 3 of Dollar Tree's 5x7 canvas with frames, and I am using a staple remover. I have this listed in my Amazon store, and the link to that is in my description box below if you are interested. It removes these staples very easily. Now, if you don't want to take the time to remove the staples to take that canvas off, you can just rip the canvas off and then remove the canvas that's up under the staples and kind of rip that and tear it, and you could leave the staples in there if you like. So we're going to remove all of the canvases from 3 of the frames, and then I'm going to go over it lightly with some sandpaper to smooth everything out, and then I'll wipe that down, and I'm going to use some antique wax made by Waverly to go over all 3 of these frames. I'm using a wet paintbrush, and then doing small sections, I'll go back in with a dry paper towel and kind of blend that in. So you're going to want to let those dry, and we're also using 2 of Dollar Tree's tree ornaments. I'm going to give those a coat of the antique wax in the same way and set those aside to let them dry. We are using Dollar General's beautiful burlap gift bags in a pack of 2 for $3. The top one is a 7x9 and the bottom is a 7x10. They have several different designs out right now. I'm going to take the one with the snowman. We're just going to cut the front portion of that bag off. Then we're going to lay our canvas on top, trace that out with a Sharpie, and then very carefully cut on the inside of the line because you don't want the fabric to show on the back side of your canvas. Once you have that cut down, we can then attach this using some hot glue. Again, you may want to use a more permanent glue, but for video purposes, I am using hot glue. We're going to attach the burlap right to the back of the canvas. We're going to cut the other bag in half just by cutting it down each side, and then we can flip it open and cut it across the middle so that we can use these for the other 2 frames. I'm just going to line those up and make sure that all of my lines look the same for both of the canvases, and then I can hot glue these down directly to that burlap. Now you can see through the fabric just a little bit, so I'm going to take some poster board and trace each one of these frames out on that poster board. Cut that down just a little bit smaller than what I traced out so you don't see it from the back side, and then I can glue the poster board to the back side of the canvases. And again, I'm going to do that for all 3 of these. I just found that it was easier to glue one end down and then go back and glue the other 3 down to make sure that it's not showing from the front. Then we're going to run some hot glue on the top of one side of the frame so that we can add the snowman on the top of that, and then we'll do the exact same thing on the other side. So he is kind of coming forward and the two frames are on the back side. Now I'm using one of Dollar Tree's wood cubes just as a guide. I'm not going to attach that in there. I want to make sure that both of my trees will sit up in the center at the same height. So I'm going to hot glue that down and then take that cube and put it on the other side just to make sure they're nice and even. And I think this project is gorgeous, but I would love to know what you guys think. For this project, we are using Dollar Tree's wood snowflakes. Now, they come in a package of 4 attached together with twine. I thought that I had recorded that, but apparently I lost that footage. I just cut all of the twine that were holding the 4 pieces together, and you'll need 2 packages of these. And then I'm going to fill in each of those holes using some wood filler, let that dry, and sand it down because I don't want you to be able to see any of those holes. Then we're also going to be using some of Dollar Tree's DIY stickers. These come with the trees, stars, and the snowflakes. And we're just going to use the snowflakes and we're going to remove that sticky tab off of the back. And if you can't get it all off, just run some sandpaper over it just to make sure it's nice and flat. Now, because I only had 4 of them and I wanted 5, I'm going to use one of these wood snowflakes from a package that I purchased from Hobby Lobby for just a few dollars, and you get several different designs. So I'm just going to pick out one of those. It's just slightly smaller than the other ones. I'm going to paint each one of these with 1 coat of white paint, including those outside edges. Now, if you don't feel like painting each individual outside edge, another trick is to take a Tupperware dish and add a little bit of water to it, add your white paint, mix it very thoroughly, and then you can just dip your snowflake in there and kind of swirl it around, and it's going to get all those outside edges and those grooves, and then you'll shake the excess off and let it dry. Now, if you do that method, you will have to dip that in the paint a couple of times, allowing it to dry in between to get that bright white look. So I painted all of the snowflakes. And now we're also using this snow ornament from Dollar Tree. Remove the twine hanger. And I'm using a white paint pen from Dollar General. I'm going to go over that raw wood at the top of this ornament. And I will have to go over that a couple of times to get it nice and bright and white. Now we're using one of Dollar Tree's 16 by 20 inch stretched canvas frames that you can get in their plus section for $3. I am using crimson chalk paint. You do not have to use a chalk paint. You can use an acrylic paint, but I love the color that this turns out to be. And of course, you can paint your canvas whatever color you like. So I painted mine going in one direction, allowed it to dry, and then went back and painted it in the opposite direction to make sure that the color stayed fairly consistent, and it turns out to be a gorgeous, deep, dark red. To attach our pieces to it, I'm using E6000 to give us that nice permanent hold, and I will use a little bit of hot glue as well. I'm going to line my snowflakes up starting at the bottom and working my way up to the top. I am creating a snowflake tree. We're going to put that snow ornament right in the middle and then just place the snowflakes around until you get the design that you like. Now I am going to have to slide mine down a bit to be able to make sure I can add my snowflake at the very top to serve as a star. Then I'll take those other smaller snowflakes and fill in some of those gaps, as well as at the bottom to serve as the trunk for the tree. Now, once I have everything lined up the way I want it to be, I'm using a Q-tip to apply the E6000 to the back of the snowflake. This is going to give me the opportunity to add the glue on there without adding too much. And then I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue that's going to hold it in place so it doesn't move around just until that E6000 will set up. Now you could add all your pieces with hot glue, But again, as I said at the beginning of the video, if you're going to be storing this in your attic, you want to use a more permanent glue so that it doesn't come apart. So I started at the bottom and worked my way up to the top, gluing each of the pieces, including that snow ornament. I'm also using my cutting mat up under the canvas as a guide to kind of make sure I keep everything lined up. And because these snowflakes have these straight edges, it was very easy to make sure everything was centered and lined up. So once I have all of my snowflakes glued down, I felt like I wanted to add a little something extra for those gaps, but you could leave it as it is. It's really pretty. I'm going to use these Hobby Lobby snowflake stickers, but Dollar Tree also has some really pretty snowflake stickers. I'm going to apply these just to fill in some of those gapped areas, and I'm using some different snowflake designs and sizes. Now this is gorgeous. I love how it turned out. I have it hanging up in my dining room, and it is simply beautiful. For this project, you will need one of Dollar Tree's Nativity wood sets. We're going to use all of the pieces except for the stand that it comes with. We're going to give those 2 coats of white paint, including all of the outside edging. We are also going to be using a star off of another Dollar Tree sign. Now this is a beautiful sign, but I just wanted to take that star off for this project. So I'm going to heat that up with my hair dryer and then use my Cricut spatula to very carefully slide underneath that to remove it without breaking it. Now, even though I'm going to use the back side of this, I am going to go over it with a little bit of sandpaper to make sure it's nice and smooth, and I'm going to give that 2 coats of white paint as well. We're also using one of Dollar Tree's 8x10 canvas frames. And of course, you can paint yours whatever color you like. I am using Waverly's chalk paint in the color Ocean. Again, you do not have to use a chalk paint. You can use an acrylic paint, but I love this color. I'm going to go over this entire canvas, including the outside edges, with 1 coat, and while it is still wet, I'm going to take this stiff brush from Dollar Tree as well as some black paint, and I'm going to blend in some black lines going in one direction. While it is still wet, I'm going to take my paintbrush that had the blue paint on it and blend in that black, and then I'm going to go in the opposite direction to blend those 2 colors in. This is going to give us a variation of the blue color. Now let that completely dry, and once it's dry, I'm going to take the blue paint only with a smaller brush and just go over it in one direction, going from side to side, and I'm not trying to cover it completely. I'm just trying to give it some variation of those blue and black color. Now set that to the side and let it dry. We're going to take our nativity pieces, line them up so that we can hot glue the manger portion right on top to keep those lined up. Then we're going to be setting this on our dry canvas, and we're going to attach these towards the bottom using some E6000. I'm just again going to use a Q-tip to be able to place that glue without getting it everywhere or it kind of coming out from the sides. This is going to give us that nice permanent hold, and that hot glue is going to hold it there temporarily until the E6000 sets up. So we'll go ahead and glue our wise men as well as the star that we previously painted. We're going to be adding that at the top above the manger. And then make sure you remove all of your glue strands that you have on your canvas, and then you can take a wet, thin paintbrush, make sure it is saturated in water, dip it into your white paint, and then tap your paintbrush to create the white speckles, which is going to make it look like a beautiful starry night. So you can add as many as you like. If it's not coming off as much as you'd like, just add a little bit more water to your paintbrush. And I'm going to do this around the entire top, and then I'm going to turn that around and add some even at the bottom of this canvas as well. Again, I did also paint the sides of this and flickered a little bit of white paint on the sides. And then you let it dry before you display it, and it is so gorgeous. I have to say, this is one of my favorite projects out of today's video. And if you have a favorite, let me know in the comments section down below. I always love to know which one is your favorite. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend with me. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button right below this video. And if you'd like to visit me on my other social media accounts, all those links are in my description box below. Please take care, and I will see you guys next time.